The Krell Dominion had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. Their massive warships, each the size of a small moon, had crushed every rebellion and absorbed every independent world. The galaxy knew one simple truth. When the Krell decided you were a threat, you had perhaps a week to make peace before your entire species became extinct. Admiral Zexthai stood on the bridge of the flagship Annihilator, watching the small blue world through the massive viewport. Earth hung in space like a fragile marble, unaware that its doom approached. Around him, his officers checked weapon systems and prepared for what they assumed would be another routine extermination. "Admiral," reported Commander Velron, "our scouts confirm the humans have only managed to colonize 47 worlds in the past century. Their technology is primitive. No energy shields, no quantum weapons, no faster-than-light communication beyond basic hyperspace beacons." Zexthai's forearms gestured dismissively. "Yet they dared to refuse our ultimatum. When we offered them the choice to serve the Dominion or face annihilation, their ambassador simply said no and walked away." The Admiral's red eyes gleamed with anger. Such arrogance from a species barely capable of interstellar travel. The Krell had been monitoring humanity for decades. These strange bipedal creatures had only discovered faster-than-light travel 60 years ago. Their ships were crude, built from basic metal alloys rather than the sophisticated metamaterials every civilized species used. Their weapons fired simple projectiles and chemical explosives. Most laughably, they still used nuclear power instead of zero-point energy. "Their military records show they fight among themselves constantly," continued Velron. "Even now, their various nations cannot agree on a unified response to our demands. Our intelligence suggests at least 12 different human governments want to surrender, but their so-called United Earth Defense Council refuses to allow it." Zexthai reviewed the tactical display. The human fleet consisted of roughly 800 ships spread across their 47 colonies. The largest human vessel was barely 600 meters long, smaller than a Krell transport shuttle. Their most powerful weapon was something called a fusion torpedo that might actually scratch the paint on a Dominion destroyer. "How many ships do we have in this sector?" Zexthai asked. 47,000, Admiral. Each battlecruiser alone outguns their entire colonial defense force." The Admiral almost felt sorry for them. Almost. But the galaxy had rules, and the first rule was simple. When the Krell Dominion spoke, you listened. These humans had chosen defiance over survival. Their fate was sealed. What Zexthai didn't know was that 3 star systems away, in a hidden base built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, humanity was about to prove that the galaxy's rules had just changed forever. Colonel Sarah Chen sat in the briefing room aboard the stealth platform Ghost Protocol, watching as Admiral Marcus Rodriguez outlined Operation Thunderstrike. Around her, the finest military minds from all human colonies listened in silence as Rodriguez explained how they were going to do the impossible. "The Krell think they know us," Rodriguez began. "They think we're primitive. They think our technology is crude. They think we're divided and weak." His smile was cold as winter. "They're about to learn that sometimes being underestimated is the greatest advantage you can have." The holographic display showed the Krell fleet arrangement. Massive ships arranged in perfect formation, following tactical patterns that had worked for 3 millennia. Each ship was a fortress, protected by energy shields that could deflect any known weapon. Their crews were professional soldiers from a warrior culture that had conquered the galaxy. "They're not wrong about our technology," Rodriguez continued. "We can't match their shields. We can't match their energy weapons. We can't build ships as big as theirs. But they made one crucial mistake. They assumed that bigger and more advanced always wins." Chen leaned forward. "What's the plan, sir?" "We're going to show them what 3,000 years of evolution on a death world actually produces," Rodriguez said. "While every other species in the galaxy evolved on pleasant worlds with stable climates, we came from Earth. We evolved alongside predators that could kill us with a single bite. We developed during ice ages and asteroid impacts. We learned to survive in environments that would kill most other species. The display changed to show Earth's history. Endless wars, natural disasters, and catastrophes that would have wiped out most civilizations. Humanity had thrived through all of it. The Krell evolved on a peaceful world with low gravity and no predators. They've become so dependent on their technology that they've forgotten what real combat instincts look like. Their entire military doctrine is based on overwhelming force and technological superiority. Colonel Jackson Turner from the Mars Defense Corps spoke up. "Sir, even with better instincts, we're outnumbered 60 to 1. "Which is exactly what we're counting on," Rodriguez replied. "They're coming with a fleet designed to intimidate and destroy. They expect to position their ships in orbit around Earth and demand surrender. They'll probably give us a few hours to consider our options before they start bombarding our cities." The hologram shifted to show tactical projections. But they don't know about Project Ghostwalk. For the past 15 years, we've been developing technology they've never encountered. Not because it's more advanced than theirs, but because it's completely different. Chen studied the display. Stealth technology. Among other things, the Krell have never needed stealth. They've always been the biggest and strongest. But we've perfected the art of being invisible. Every human ship in this operation has been equipped with quantum masking systems. We can't match their firepower, but they can't hit what they can't see. The Admiral touched another control, and the display showed weapon specifications that made Chen's eyes widen. We've also been thinking differently about warfare itself. The Krell build massive ships with enormous weapons that can destroy planets. We've built small, fast ships with precise weapons that can destroy specific targets. "Assassination instead of annihilation," murmured Commander Lisa Park from the Titan Defense Fleet. "Exactly. While they've been perfecting the art of destroying everything in sight, we've been perfecting the art of destroying exactly what needs to be destroyed. Their ships are massive because they carry heavy shields and armor. But shields and armor are useless if the attack comes from inside their own ship." Rodriguez brought up schematics of Krell vessels. "Thanks to our intelligence operations, we know exactly how their ships are built. We know where their power cores are located. We know how their command systems work. We know their emergency protocols." Chen began to understand. "We're not going to fight their ships. We're going to infiltrate them. Every Krell ship has docking bays for smaller vessels. They use them for supply runs and troop transport. They've never needed to worry about securing them because no enemy has ever gotten close enough to board their ships. Their internal security is designed to prevent crew uprising, not hostile infiltration." The tactical display showed hundreds of small human ships, each no larger than a Krell shuttle. Phantom-class stealth frigates, completely invisible to Krell sensors. Each one carries a team of 12 Marines with enough firepower to cripple a battlecruiser from the inside. Turner was starting to grin. "They'll never see us coming. The beauty of their formation is that they keep their ships close together for mutual support," Rodriguez explained. "What they don't realize is that close formation makes them vulnerable to coordinated simultaneous strikes. While they're looking for our main fleet, 400 Phantom ships will slip through their formation and board their vessels." "What's the timeline?" asked Chen. "The Krell fleet will arrive at Earth in 18 hours. They'll spend at least 2 hours getting into their standard intimidation formation. Then they'll demand surrender and give us 4 hours to respond. During those 4 hours, our Phantoms will infiltrate their entire fleet." The display showed the infiltration plan. Small stealth ships would approach from multiple angles, using the Krell's own formation against them. Each Phantom would dock with a different enemy vessel and deploy its Marine team. "The mission is simple," Rodriguez continued. "Each team has 30 minutes to reach the target ship's power core and plant quantum charges. The charges are synchronized to detonate simultaneously across the entire Krell fleet." 30 minutes? Park looked skeptical. "That's not much time." "It's enough. We've been training for this scenario for 5 years. Every Marine on this operation has spent hundreds of hours studying Krell ship layouts in virtual reality. They know these ships better than the Krell crews do. Chen felt her pulse quicken. The audacity of the plan was breathtaking. Instead of meeting the Krell in open battle, humanity would strike from the shadows with surgical precision. What happens after the charges detonate? The Krell lose their flagship and roughly half their fleet in the first wave. The surviving ships will be in chaos. Their command structure disrupted, their crews panicking. That's when our conventional forces attack. The display showed the second phase, human fleets emerging from hiding to engage the confused and demoralized Krell survivors. Without their overwhelming numbers and intact command structure, the remaining Krell ships would find themselves facing an enemy that was smaller but faster, more maneuverable, and fighting on familiar ground. "How long do we estimate the entire operation will take?" asked Turner. Rodriguez's smile was sharp as a blade. "From the moment the first charges detonate to the moment the last Krell ship surrenders or flees, we estimate 5 hours." The room fell silent as the implication sank in. In 5 hours, humanity would either achieve the impossible or face extinction. "There's one more thing," Rodriguez added quietly. "This operation relies on absolute coordination and perfect timing. Every team must succeed. Every charge must detonate simultaneously. If even one phantom is detected, if even one team fails to reach their target, the entire plan collapses and we face annihilation." Chen looked around the room at the faces of her fellow officers. She saw determination, fear, excitement, and grim resolve. In 18 hours, they would either make history or become history. "Any questions?" Rodriguez asked. Commander Park raised her hand. "Sir, what happens if we actually pull this off? If we defeat the Krell, what then?" The Admiral was quiet for a moment before answering. "Then the galaxy learns that the age of the Krell Dominion is over, and a new player has just entered the game." As the briefing ended, and the officers dispersed to their ships, Chen couldn't help but think about the sheer audacity of what they were attempting. For 3,000 years, the galaxy had accepted Krell rule as an unalterable fact. Now humanity was about to prove that sometimes facts could be changed. The countdown had begun. In less than 20 hours, the galaxy would discover that the small blue world they'd dismissed as primitive had been hiding something extraordinary. Earth's children had learned their lessons well in the crucible of a death world, and they were about to teach those lessons to the stars. The Krell were coming to end humanity's story. Instead, they were about to become the opening chapter of humanity's true beginning. Admiral HFY stood on the bridge of the Annihilator, watching Earth grow larger in the viewport. The human homeworld looked so peaceful from this distance, its blue oceans and white clouds hiding the billions of lives that would soon be extinguished. Around him, 47,000 Krell warships moved into their time-tested formation, a massive sphere that completely surrounded the planet. "Admiral, we are in position," reported Commander Velran. "All ships report ready to commence bombardment on your command." "Excellent." HFY settled into his command throne, savoring the moment. "Open a channel to Earth. Let's give these humans one last chance to surrender with dignity." The communications screen flickered to life, showing the stern face of someone identified as Admiral Marcus Rodriguez, speaking from what appeared to be a military command center. "Admiral HFY of the Krell Dominion," Rodriguez said calmly. "I assume you've come to discuss terms for Earth's surrender." HFY's 4 arms gestured in amusement. The human actually seemed composed, despite facing certain death. "Indeed. You have 4 hours to consider your options, human. Surrender unconditionally, and your species will serve the Dominion as slaves. Refuse, and your entire planet will be reduced to molten slag. Choose wisely." "We appreciate your generous offer," Rodriguez replied, with what might have been sarcasm. We'll need the full 4 hours to consider such a momentous decision. Of course, use the time well. It may be the last 4 hours your species ever sees. The communication ended, and Zexthai turned to his tactical officer. Maintain formation. Monitor all human ship movements. If they attempt to flee, destroy them immediately. What the Admiral didn't know was that at that exact moment, 400 Phantom-class stealth frigates were already moving through his fleet formation like ghosts through a cemetery. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen guided her Phantom ship, Shadow Strike, through the gaps between massive Krell battlecruisers. The stealth systems worked perfectly. Quantum masking made her ship completely invisible to Krell sensors. Around her, 11 other Marines checked their equipment one final time. "Target acquired," whispered Sergeant Rodriguez from the pilot's seat. "Krell destroyer, Conquest, approximately 2 kilometers to starboard. Beginning approach." Through the viewport, Chen could see the enormous Krell vessel. It was 5 times larger than the biggest human battleship, its hull covered with weapon emplacements that could level a city. The ship's docking bay yawned open like a predator's mouth, completely unguarded. The Krell had never needed to worry about protecting their docking bays from infiltration. "Remember the plan," Chen told her team through their comm system. "We have 30 minutes from docking to reach the power core and plant the charges. No noise, no alerts, no mistakes. The quantum charges detonate simultaneously across the entire fleet at exactly 1400 hours. The Phantom slipped into the docking bay without triggering any alarms. Krell technology was sophisticated but predictable. They relied entirely on external sensors and had no internal security systems worth mentioning. Chen and her team moved through the ship's corridors like shadows, following the layout they had memorized during years of training. The Krell crew went about their duties completely unaware that death moved among them. These soldiers had never faced an enemy that could penetrate their defenses. Their entire military doctrine was based on overwhelming force and technological superiority. The concept of stealth infiltration was so foreign to them that they hadn't even considered defending against it. Chen's team reached the power core section without encountering a single guard. The Krell apparently believed their ships were invulnerable fortresses. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. "Charges in place," Chen reported quietly. "Timer set for synchronized detonation." Across the fleet, 400 similar teams were completing identical missions. Each Phantom had infiltrated a different Krell vessel. Each team had reached their target. Each quantum charge was now armed and waiting. On the flagship's bridge, Admiral Zexthai remained completely unaware that his doom had already been sealed. He was reviewing casualty projections for the human extermination when his communications officer interrupted. "Admiral, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth." "Already? They still have 3 hours left to decide." The screen activated again, showing Admiral Rodriguez in the same command center. But something had changed in the human's demeanor. He looked completely confident, almost amused. "Admiral Zexthai, we've reached our decision regarding your offer." "And?" "We decline. In fact, we have a counteroffer for you." Zexthai's red eyes narrowed dangerously. "Counteroffer? Human, you are in no position to negotiate." "On the contrary, Admiral, I believe we're in an excellent position. You see, in approximately 30 seconds, you're going to discover that we've been studying your people for much longer than you've been studying us." "What are you talking about?" Rodriguez smiled coldly. "We're about to demonstrate that bigger doesn't always mean better. Sometimes precision beats power. Sometimes intelligence beats brute force. Sometimes the predator becomes the prey." Zexthai was about to demand an explanation when every screen on his bridge suddenly displayed the same countdown timer, 15 seconds and falling. "All ships, go to maximum alert," he shouted. "Scan for human vessels. Find their fleet." But it was too late. The timer reached 0. Across 47,000 Krell ships, quantum charges detonated simultaneously inside power cores. The explosions were small but precisely placed, designed not to destroy the ships, but to cripple their power systems. In an instant, half the Krell fleet went dark. The flagship Annihilator shuddered as its main power core exploded. Emergency lighting cast everything in red shadows as the massive ship began to list. Around them, hundreds of other Krell vessels suffered similar fates. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for 3 millennia were suddenly powerless hulks drifting in space. "Report!" Zexthai demanded. "Sir, we've lost main power. Backup systems are failing. Weapons are offline. Shields are down." How is this possible? The answer came from Admiral Rodriguez, whose face appeared on the emergency communication screen. "It's possible because, while you were perfecting the art of intimidation, we were perfecting the art of war." On screens throughout the remaining functional Krell ships, Rodriguez continued his explanation. "For the past 2 hours, 400 of our ships have been moving through your formation. Your sensors never detected them. Your guards never saw them. Your security never stopped them. 4,700 of your most powerful vessels are now crippled or destroyed." Zexthai felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries: fear. "Impossible. Our sensors would have detected any ship approaching our fleet." "Would they?" "Your sensors are designed to detect energy signatures and mass displacements. But what if a ship produces no detectable energy signature? What if it's built from materials that don't register on your sensors? What if it's small enough and quiet enough to slip between your massive ships like a fish swimming between whales?" The tactical display showed the devastating truth. Nearly half the Krell fleet was either destroyed or powerless. The remaining ships were scattered and confused, their perfect formation shattered. "You see, Admiral, you made a crucial mistake. You assumed that because you've been the apex predator for 3,000 years, you would always be the apex predator. But on our world, we learned that even the mightiest predator can become prey if it becomes too comfortable, too complacent, too confident." Rodriguez paused, letting his words sink in. "Phase 1 is complete. Your fleet has been neutralized. But we're not finished yet." On the tactical displays of the surviving Krell ships, new contacts began appearing. Human vessels, emerging from hiding places throughout the solar system. But these weren't the primitive ships the Krell had expected. These were sleek, fast vessels that moved like hunting predators. "Phase 2 begins now," Rodriguez announced. The human fleet attacked with surgical precision. They didn't try to match the Krell in firepower. They didn't need to. Instead of massive energy weapons, they used precision strikes. Instead of overwhelming force, they used coordinated tactics. Instead of fighting fair, they fought smart. Human destroyers darted between the larger Krell ships, targeting weapons systems and engines with pinpoint accuracy. Where Krell weapons were designed to destroy entire targets, human weapons were designed to disable specific systems. They took apart the enemy fleet piece by piece. Commander Velran struggled to coordinate a response from his damaged bridge. "Sir, the human vessels are too fast. Our targeting systems can't lock onto them." "Then fire area effect weapons. Saturate the space around them." "We can't, sir. Our remaining ships are too close together. We'd hit our own vessels." Zexthai watched in horror as his fleet was systematically dismantled. The humans moved like a pack of predators, coordinating their attacks with devastating efficiency. When a Krell ship tried to flee, human interceptors were already waiting. When a group tried to fight back, they found themselves surrounded and outnumbered. "How are they coordinating so precisely?" demanded the Admiral. "They should be confused. They should be scattered." Rodriguez's voice came through the communication system again. "You're thinking like prey, Admiral. Prey animals get confused and scatter when attacked. Predators coordinate and adapt. Every human ship is in constant communication with every other human ship. We share targeting data, tactical information, and real-time updates. When you're used to hunting in packs, coordination comes naturally." A new report came in from the tactical station. Sir, the humans are demanding surrender from our remaining ships. They're offering to accept crews as prisoners of war if they shut down weapons and surrender immediately. Zexthai couldn't believe what he was hearing. They want us to surrender? To them? Admiral, Rodriguez said quietly, you have a choice. You can continue this fight and watch the rest of your fleet get destroyed, or you can accept reality. Your fleet is broken. Your ships are crippled. Your crews are demoralized. This war is over. Around the solar system, Krell ships began shutting down their weapons and broadcasting surrender signals. The crews had spent their entire lives believing in Krell invincibility. Watching that invincibility shattered in less than 4 hours had broken their will to fight. This is impossible, Zexthai whispered. We are the Krell. We have ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. We cannot be defeated by primitives who still use chemical propulsion. You weren't defeated by primitive technology, Admiral. You were defeated by primitive thinking. While you were building bigger ships and more powerful weapons, we were learning how to think like survivors. While you were perfecting intimidation, we were perfecting innovation. While you were becoming comfortable in your dominance, we were adapting to overcome any obstacle. Rodriguez leaned forward on the screen. You see, Admiral? You made one fatal assumption. You assumed that because Earth is a young world with crude technology, its people would be weak and easy to conquer. What you didn't realize is that Earth is what we call a death world. Everything on our planet is designed to kill us. The weather, the animals, the geology, the other humans, all of it. We didn't evolve to be comfortable. We evolved to survive. The human admiral gestured to someone off-screen, and new data began appearing on Krell tactical displays. Information about Earth's history, ice ages that lasted millions of years, asteroid impacts that blocked out the sun, predators that could kill with a single bite, diseases that wiped out entire populations. Every challenge that would have ended most species just made us stronger. We learned to adapt, to innovate, to overcome. We learned that the biggest and strongest doesn't always win. Sometimes the smartest and most adaptable wins. Zexthai looked around his ruined bridge. Emergency lights flickered over damaged control stations. His mighty flagship was now a crippled hulk, kept alive only by backup power. Half his fleet was destroyed or disabled. The other half was surrendering to ships a fraction of their size. This changes nothing, he said finally. The Dominion has thousands of fleets, millions of ships. You may have defeated this force, but you cannot stand against our entire military. Rodriguez smiled again, but this time it was almost pitying. Admiral, do you really think we would reveal ourselves without a plan for what comes next? Do you think we would start a war with the Krell Dominion without being prepared for the consequences? New information appeared on the screens. Tactical data showing human fleets moving throughout Krell space, stealth ships appearing near major Krell military bases, human forces striking at targets across the galaxy simultaneously. While you were focused on Earth, we were implementing Phase 3. Right now, at this very moment, Krell fleets throughout the galaxy are experiencing exactly what your fleet just experienced. Your major shipyards are being sabotaged. Your communication networks are being disrupted. Your supply lines are being cut. Zexthai's blood turned cold. You're attacking the entire Dominion? We told you, Admiral. We don't fight fair. We fight smart. When predators hunt, they don't just attack the strongest member of the herd. They coordinate to bring down the entire herd. The communication ended, leaving Zexthai alone with the devastating reality. In less than 5 hours, the mighty Krell fleet had been reduced to scattered survivors and prisoners. And according to the humans, this was happening across the entire galaxy. As human ships moved to secure their prisoners and salvage what remained of the Krell fleet, one fact became clear to every survivor. The age of Krell dominance was over. The galaxy had new predators now, and they had just announced their presence in the most dramatic way possible. The humans had won the war in 5 hours, and the galaxy would never be the same. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened 12 hours after the last Krell transmission had gone silent. Representatives from 800 species filled the massive chamber on the neutral world of Nexus Prime, their voices creating a cacophony of fear, confusion, and disbelief. Ambassador Thys of the Altarian Federation stood at the central podium, her silver skin rippling with nervous energy. "Order! We must have order!" Her voice echoed through the chamber's translation systems. "We are here to address the unprecedented events of the past day." The chamber gradually quieted, but tension remained thick in the air. For 3,000 years, the Galactic Council had existed primarily to ratify Krell decisions and coordinate tribute payments. Now, for the first time in recorded history, they were meeting to discuss the fall of their masters. "The facts are undeniable," Thys continued. At 0800 Standard Galactic Time, the Krell Dominion dispatched their 15th battle fleet to exterminate the human species. By 1300 Standard Galactic Time, that fleet had been completely destroyed or captured. By 2000 Standard Galactic Time, similar attacks had occurred across Krell space, crippling their entire military infrastructure. A ripple of shocked whispers ran through the assembly. Ambassador Vrex of the Thurian Empire raised his forearms. "How is such a thing possible? The humans have been spacefaring for barely 60 standard years. Their technology is primitive. Their fleet is insignificant." "Yet the evidence is irrefutable," replied Ambassador Keth from the Silicon Collective, her crystalline form chiming as she spoke. "Our long-range sensors detected the destruction of the Krell flagship Annihilator and 46,000 other vessels. The human fleet suffered minimal casualties." The chamber erupted in voices again. Representatives shouted questions, theories, and demands for explanation. Some species that had suffered under Krell rule for millennia could barely contain their excitement. Others, who had prospered as Krell allies, looked terrified of what this change might mean. Ambassador Thys called for order again. "We have received a transmission from Earth requesting permission to address this assembly. The message comes from Admiral Marcus Rodriguez, who appears to be the human military leader responsible for yesterday's actions." "You're going to allow these primitives to address the Galactic Council?" demanded Ambassador Corax of the Thanner hegemony. His reptilian features twisted with disgust. "They should be investigated, contained, possibly eliminated before they become a threat to galactic stability." "With respect, Ambassador Corax," Thys replied carefully, "I don't think any of us are in a position to eliminate a species that just destroyed the Krell Dominion in a single day." The chamber fell silent at this stark reminder of reality. The beings who had seemed like invincible overlords yesterday were now broken and scattered. If the humans could do that to the Krell, what could they do to anyone else? "Very well," Thys announced. "The Council recognizes Admiral Marcus Rodriguez of the Terran Federation." The massive holographic display activated, showing the image of a human male in what appeared to be a military uniform. He looked calm and confident, showing no sign of intimidation, despite addressing a gathering that represented most of the galaxy's civilizations. "Honored representatives," Rodriguez began, "I am Admiral Marcus Rodriguez of the United Earth Defense Council. I appreciate the opportunity to address this assembly during what I understand are unusual circumstances." Ambassador Vrex interrupted immediately. "Admiral, you and your species have committed an act of unprecedented aggression against the lawful government of this galaxy. How do you justify this unprovoked attack?" Rodriguez paused, studying the Thurian representative with what might have been amusement. "Unprovoked? Ambassador, the Krell Dominion arrived at Earth with 47,000 warships and demanded our complete surrender or total extermination. When we declined, they prepared to reduce our homeworld to molten slag. I'm curious about your definition of unprovoked." "The Krell were the legitimate authority in this galaxy," Corax shouted. They maintained order and stability for 3 millennia. Did they? Rodriguez asked quietly. Let me share some information we've gathered about Krell order and stability. The display changed to show statistical data: worlds destroyed, species driven to extinction, populations enslaved, resources stripped from entire star systems. The numbers were staggering. In their 3,000 years of rule, the Krell Dominion has exterminated over 200 species completely. They have enslaved more than 400 others. They have strip-mined entire worlds and left them uninhabitable. They have killed more sentient beings than every war in galactic history combined. The chamber was completely silent now. Everyone knew these facts, but no one had ever dared speak them aloud. Rodriguez continued, but perhaps most importantly, they have stagnated the entire galaxy. Think about it. What technological innovations have emerged in the past 1,000 years? What new ideas? What progress? The Krell system was designed to prevent change, prevent growth, prevent anything that might threaten their control. Ambassador Thys found her voice. Admiral, while we appreciate your perspective, the reality is that the Krell provided stability. Without them, we face chaos, hundreds of species with competing interests, no central authority to mediate disputes, no unified defense against external threats. You're absolutely right, Rodriguez agreed, which is why we're not proposing to simply leave a power vacuum. The display changed again, showing what appeared to be a detailed plan for galactic reorganization. We propose the establishment of a true galactic federation, not a puppet council that rubber stamps the decisions of overlords, but a genuine democratic alliance of independent worlds. Shocked murmurs filled the chamber. Ambassador Keth's crystalline form chimed with curiosity. You're proposing to govern the galaxy? We're proposing to help the galaxy govern itself, Rodriguez corrected. Earth has no interest in becoming the new Krell Dominion. We've seen what happens when one species tries to rule all others through force. It leads to stagnation, corruption, and eventually collapse. Then what exactly are you suggesting? Asked Ambassador Vrex. Rodriguez gestured, and the display showed a new organizational structure. A federation of independent worlds, each maintaining sovereignty over internal affairs while cooperating on matters of mutual concern. Trade, defense, exploration, scientific research, all coordinated through democratic institutions rather than imperial decree. And what gives you the authority to propose such changes? Demanded Corex. The human admiral's expression hardened slightly. The same authority the Krell claimed. Superior force. The difference is that we're choosing to use that force to liberate rather than dominate. Ambassador Thys leaned forward. Admiral, you're asking us to trust a species we've known for less than a century. You've demonstrated incredible military capability, but what assurance do we have that humanity won't simply become the new oppressor? A fair question, Rodriguez acknowledged. Let me answer it by explaining what makes humans different from the Krell. The display showed images of Earth, vast cities, diverse landscapes, and billions of humans living in various societies and cultures. Unlike the Krell, who evolved on a peaceful world with no natural predators, humans evolved on what we call a death world. Everything on Earth was trying to kill us. The climate, the geology, the other species, and sometimes even each other. The images shifted to show Earth's history, natural disasters, wars, famines, and catastrophes. We survived by learning to adapt, to cooperate, and to innovate. We learned that diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. We learned that cooperation achieves more than domination. Most importantly, we learned that no matter how powerful you become, you never stop learning and growing. Pretty words, sneered Corex. But power corrupts all species eventually. Perhaps, Rodriguez admitted. Which is why we're not asking you to simply trust us. We're proposing a system with built-in safeguards. The display showed constitutional documents and governmental structures. The federation we propose would limit the power of any single species, including humanity. No world or species would have more than proportional representation. All major decisions would require consensus among multiple species, and most importantly, any member world would have the right to leave the Federation if they chose. Ambassador Keth chimed thoughtfully. You're proposing to share power rather than monopolize it? Exactly. We believe that the galaxy is stronger when all species contribute their unique strengths and perspectives. The Krell system wasted the potential of hundreds of civilizations. A true federation would unleash that potential. Ambassador Vrex raised a practical concern. Admiral, even assuming we accepted this proposal, how would such a federation defend itself? The galaxy faces external threats. Raiders from beyond our borders, rogue AI systems, unknown species in unexplored regions. Rodriguez smiled. An excellent point. Which brings me to humanity's greatest gift to this federation, our military doctrine. The display showed human tactical innovations, stealth technology, precision weapons, coordinated fleet tactics, and adaptive strategies. The Krell defended the galaxy through intimidation and overwhelming force. They built massive ships and huge fleets designed to frighten potential enemies into submission. But as you saw yesterday, size and power alone are not enough. We've developed a different approach, he continued. Instead of trying to be the biggest predator in the jungle, we've learned to be the smartest. Our military doctrine emphasizes intelligence, adaptability, and precision over raw firepower. The tactical displays showed human strategies in action. Small fleets defeating larger ones through superior coordination, stealth ships disrupting enemy formations, precision strikes crippling enemy capabilities without massive destruction. More importantly, we've learned to fight as a unified species rather than competing factions. Every human military unit can coordinate seamlessly with every other unit. We share intelligence, tactics, and resources across our entire species. Ambassador Theiss looked intrigued. You're suggesting that the Federation's defense would be based on human military leadership? We're suggesting that the Federation's defense would be based on human military principles, adapted to include the unique capabilities of all member species, Rodriguez corrected. Imagine combining human tactical innovation with Altarian sensor technology, Thurian manufacturing capabilities, and Silicon collective computational power. The chamber fell quiet as representatives considered the implications. A unified galaxy working together instead of simply submitting to overlords. The potential was staggering, but Ambassador Corex wasn't convinced. This all sounds very idealistic, Admiral. But what happens when disputes arise between member species? What happens when some worlds want to expand while others want isolation? Who makes the difficult decisions? The same beings who should have been making those decisions all along. The people those decisions affect, Rodriguez replied. Democratic institutions, transparent processes, and the understanding that compromise serves everyone better than conflict. And if that fails? If diplomatic solutions prove impossible? Rodriguez's expression grew serious. Then the Federation intervenes to protect its members and maintain peace. But intervention would be proportional, targeted, and designed to restore stability rather than punish rebellion. We would use the minimum force necessary to resolve conflicts, not the maximum force available. Ambassador Theiss stood slowly. Admiral Rodriguez, you're asking us to completely reimagine how galactic civilization functions. You're asking us to abandon systems that have existed for millennia in favor of untested theories. I'm asking you to choose freedom over security, growth over stagnation, cooperation over submission, Rodriguez replied. Yes, it's a risk. Yes, it will be challenging. But consider the alternative. The display showed projections of the galaxy's future under different scenarios. Continued Krell rule leading to eventual collapse, anarchy resulting from the power vacuum, or human dominion replacing Krell dominion. The Krell system was already failing. Their empire was becoming too large to manage effectively. Their technology was stagnating. Their population was becoming complacent. Eventually, they would have fallen anyway, but their collapse would have destroyed half the galaxy with them. And human dominion? Asked Keth. Would eventually fail for the same reasons Krell dominion failed, Rodriguez admitted. No single species can effectively govern the entire galaxy indefinitely. That's why we're proposing something different. A system designed to evolve and adapt rather than simply expand and control. The chamber was quiet for several minutes as representatives considered their options. Finally, Ambassador Thiss spoke again. Admiral, assuming we were interested in exploring this proposal, what would be the first steps? We suggest beginning with a pilot program, Rodriguez replied. 50 volunteer worlds from different species and regions, working together for one standard year to test Federation principles. If the experiment succeeds, we expand it. If it fails, we try a different approach. And the Krell? What happens to the survivors of their fleets and the populations of their core worlds? They're offered the same choice as everyone else. Join the Federation as equals or maintain independence outside it. We have no interest in revenge or punishment. The Krell people are not responsible for the crimes of their government. Ambassador Vrex looked surprised. You would allow your former enemies to join this federation. The best way to prevent future conflicts is to give former enemies a stake in preventing them, Rodriguez explained. Besides, the Krell have valuable experience in administration and logistics. Their knowledge could benefit the entire galaxy if applied to constructive purposes. The session continued for several more hours, with representatives asking detailed questions about Federation structure, membership requirements, and operational procedures. Rodriguez answered each question patiently and thoroughly, providing data and examples to support his proposals. Finally, Ambassador Thiss called for a recess. This assembly will reconvene in 72 hours to vote on the establishment of a pilot Federation program. In the meantime, all representatives are encouraged to consult with their home governments and consider this proposal carefully. As the session ended and representatives began filing out of the chamber, the implications were clear to everyone present. In less than 24 hours, humanity had not only destroyed the galaxy's most powerful military force, but had also offered a completely new vision for galactic civilization. Some species would embrace the opportunity for freedom and self-determination. Others would resist change and cling to familiar systems. But one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same. As Admiral Rodriguez's image faded from the display, Ambassador Thiss reflected on the magnitude of what she had witnessed. Humanity had indeed won their war in 5 hours, but their real victory wouldn't be measured in ships destroyed or enemies defeated. Their real victory would be measured in whether they could convince the galaxy to choose hope over fear, freedom over security, and cooperation over domination. And if yesterday's demonstration was any indication, they might just succeed. The age of the Krell Dominion was over. The age of the Galactic Federation was about to begin. And the small blue world that had seemed so insignificant just days before was now poised to lead the galaxy into an uncertain but hopeful future. The universe had new shepherds, and they came not with chains and whips, but with open hands and innovative minds. The galaxy watched in shock as the impossible became inevitable, and the future opened up with infinite possibilities.